Chacachacare Island, Trinidad and Tobago, once a leper colony and later a convent, this abandoned isle is steeped in sorrow. Locals and visitors have seen ghostly nuns with lanterns roaming graveyards, their presence turning an eerie silence into something deeply unsettling. But what's really going on here? Is this island really haunted by sinister spirits? Or are there other more logical explanations behind these strange sightings? And what exactly is the history of this mysterious island and its former inhabitants? Join us as we explore the dark secrets lurking beneath the surface of Chacachacare Island. The Chacachacare Islands lie off the northwest coast of Trinidad, just a stone's throw from the Venezuelan border. The larger of the two islands in the archipelago bears the name Chacachacare Grand, and it was here that the British colonial government established a settlement for those afflicted with Hansen's disease, more commonly known as leprosy, back in 1878. This move was part of a larger strategy to isolate and quarantine those suffering from the disease. At its peak, the settlement housed around 450 patients, many of whom were enslaved Africans brought in from the mainland. The patients lived in small huts made of wood and palm leaves, eking out a meager existence on the island's shores. It was a harsh life, but one that was nonetheless better than the alternative, which was certain death on the mainland. However, the real hardship began when the patients arrived at the island. Supplies were often scarce and many of the patients died within weeks of arriving at the settlement. Those who did survive were forced to endure excruciating medical experiments, performed by Dr. Archibald R.C. Royt, who was the medical superintendent of the colony. Despite the pain and suffering inflicted on them, none of the patients were ever cured of their disease, and after 30 years of misery, the settlement was finally shut down in 1908, and all that was left behind were crumbling huts and the ghosts of those who had died there. In 1924, the island was given to the Roman Catholic Church, who then built a convent and school for girls on the site. However, the new construction did little to dispel the darkness that seemed to linger over the island. Strange occurrences began to be reported almost immediately, and it was not long before rumors of a haunting began to spread. One of the most famous sightings comes from a former student who attended the convent in the 1950s. According to her testimony, she and her fellow students were one day making their way through the graveyard. When they heard the sound of footsteps behind them, they turned to see the specter of an old woman hobbling towards them. Her face was obscured by the shadow of her voluminous habit, and her gnarled hands clutched the arm of a young girl. As they approached, the ghost passed right through the living, causing them to recoil in shock. Moments later, they saw the ghost enter the nearby chapel and vanish from sight. To this day, no one knows the identity of this spirit or the young girl she was leading. Another popular story involves a group of boys who decided to sneak onto the island at night for a bit of adventure. As they ventured deeper into the abandoned settlement, they came across a building that was completely dark except for a faint glow emanating from beneath the door. Curiosity piqued. One of the boys pushed open the door and stepped inside. What he saw caused him to scream and flee, as did the rest of his friends. According to his breathless account, the room was filled with hundreds of human bones, all of which seemed to be staring directly at him. But perhaps the most disturbing legend surrounding the island is that of the ghostly nuns. According to local law, a group of nuns was tending to the graves in the island's cemetery one evening, when they were attacked by pirates. The nuns were stripped, tortured, and murdered, and their bodies were left to rot on the beach. Some versions of the story claim that the pirates set fire to the convent, but others say that the building was destroyed by a hurricane. Regardless, the dead nuns are said to have risen from their graves and wandered the island at night, searching for their killer. Many have reported seeing the ghost of a nun holding a lantern, slowly moving through the graveyard, never stopping, never resting. Others have seen entire groups of nuns in their burial gowns, walking along the beach or through the ruins of the convent, and some have even heard the sound of their mournful chanting carried on the wind. It's important to note that the stories of the ghostly nuns may have been influenced by the island's use as a leper colony. Leprosy has been stigmatized throughout history, and those who suffer from it have often been ostracized and feared. This fear and prejudice may have led people to view the patients on Chacachacare Island as outcasts and to believe that they were cursed or possessed by demons. In fact, leprosy itself has been associated with evil and the devil in religious texts such as the Bible. This may have contributed to the idea that the nuns were somehow tainted by the disease and that their ghosts were forever bound to the island. Could there be another explanation for the haunting of Chacachacare Island? Perhaps the stories of ghostly nuns and other supernatural phenomena can be attributed to the island's long and painful history. The leper colony was a place of great suffering, and those who died there may have left behind unresolved pain and sorrow. This could have manifested itself in the form of ghosts or other unexplained phenomena. Additionally, the island's use as a convent and school for girls may have also contributed to its haunted reputation. Convents have long been associated with secrets and cover-ups, and the Roman Catholic Church has been accused of hiding evidence of paranormal activity in order to protect its own. It's possible that the church was involved in some kind of dark ritual or experiment on the island, and that this is what is now haunting it. Ultimately, without concrete evidence, it's impossible to say whether or not Chacachacare Island is really haunted. There are many who believe that the stories of ghosts and hauntings are nothing more than superstition and folklore. They argue that these stories serve as a way to explain the unexplainable and to give meaning to tragic events. On the other hand, there are those who believe that the island is truly cursed, and that the spirits of those who died there are forever trapped. Whether or not there are ghosts on Chacachacare Island, one thing is clear: the island's history is a dark and disturbing one. From the days of the leper colony to the convent, the island has been the site of great suffering and tragedy. If there are any ghosts on the island, they are a reminder of the pain and sorrow that have been endured by so many. Despite its dark past, Chacachacare Island remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Many come to explore the ruins of the leper colony and convent, while others come to soak up the sun on the island's beautiful beaches. There is something about the island's natural beauty that seems to draw people in, despite the danger that may lie beneath the surface. Perhaps the most important lesson we can learn from the story of Chacachacare Island is the importance of empathy and understanding. Those who suffered from leprosy were often misunderstood and feared, and this led to their unjust imprisonment on remote islands like Chacachacare. It is our responsibility to learn from this dark chapter in history, and to ensure that those who are different from us are treated with the compassion and dignity they deserve. The true story of the Chacachacare Island, haunted by ghost or not, remains a mystery. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated on all things paranormal. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Do you and forget to subscribe to my channel Ghost Files and ring the bell to be notified about my latest videos. You can also check out my podcast and leave a like and comment below to let me know what you think. I appreciate your support. Have a great day.